Ladies and gentlemen, the haunting event for Modern Warfare 2, Warzone, and DMZ has just released, and there's actually a lot of cool stuff to this update. I was quite surprised by it. But today I want to specifically talk about what they added to DMZ, and this is of course the boss fights. They actually added zombie level boss fights to DMZ. There's a total of 4 boss fights. There's also a train sequence that's kind of like a mission, but it's not necessarily a boss fight. I wouldn't classify it as a boss fight. And then the 6th thing is not really a boss or a mission. It's just kind of like a little objective you can do. And if you do all 6 of these, you get rewarded with the Bass P Bloody Mess variant of the Bass P, which is like blueprint, I guess is the better word for it, not variant. We're going to go over all of these different objectives and bosses and just talk about how to complete them and how much I enjoyed them as an experience, because these are some really cool things. This is the coolest thing DMZ has ever done. It's not a mode I really played that much during its life cycle, but from what I kept up with, this is by far the coolest thing they added to it, and honestly is kind of a glimpse, or I guess a tease, of what Modern Warfare 3 zombies will likely be like. So all these different bosses and objectives, they have different areas on Al Mazrah that you have to go to in order to do them, and you essentially just have to do a little quest in order to start it up for each of them. So we're going to go through each and every one of them, starting with the Swamp Creature, which honestly, this is probably the most disappointing of all the boss fights. The Swamp Creature looks really cool, it's insanely awesome, but it's probably the least interesting of all of these. The location for the Swamp Creature is really cool as well. They do have unique locations that they added for Al Mazrah just for this event, and it is amazing looking. I mean, especially the atmosphere for this swamp monster. But what you have to do is you have to find a tiara, and essentially you have to find it in one of these pods that are around the map. You just kind of search around, not around the map, but around this little area. You search in them, you find the tiara, you place it down by this altar thing, and it spawns in these swamp creatures. Now, it's actually multiple swamp creatures, not just one. A couple of them will spawn in, but you only have to kill one of them for it to actually work. So just do that. Once you do it, you're done. Or you can stay and kill the other swamp creatures as well. It's really up to you. But it's just so easy to kill them. They don't really die, and they've died really fast. So it's not that interesting. It's definitely the weakest of all of these boss fights. But of course, if you want to do it, you can still do it. Next up is the Pharaoh, which this is actually one of the coolest ones in terms of the location. There's actually like almost Egyptian tombs that you get to go through, and it is so cool exploring this. A lot of these assets I really hope they reuse someday for like zombies content, maybe round-based maps in Modern Warfare 3 or round-based in COD 2024. There's definitely assets here they're probably going to reuse, and the tombs here look really awesome. I definitely could see this existing in some sort of an Egyptian map. But the Pharaoh itself, the way you do it is there's a bunch of these soldiers that have these like purple skulls. They like got like glowing skulls out of their skull. I don't know how that works, but regardless, if you kill them, they drop the skull. You have to collect 10 of those skulls and you put them all under the tomb. And when you do that, the Pharaoh comes out and attacks you, and he's actually really vicious. It's probably one of the harder boss fights just because he has a lot of health. There's no health bar. You just have to guess how much damage you're doing. And if he like gets you, like if you let him too close to you, he will insta kill you, which is pretty cool. He actually does this really unique animation for it. It's actually like a finisher animation. Basically sucks your soul out and kills you and just instantly downs you. So definitely keep your distance from this guy, but it's a pretty fun boss fight. I'd say it's one of the better ones here. So yeah, that's the Pharaoh. And next we have the Spaceland UFO, and obviously me as a Spaceland fanboy, I was so happy to see this. Just seeing them reusing an asset from Infinite Warfare is just insane to me. Makes me wonder, are they going to use this again for some other map? Are we going to see a Spaceland remake or some sort of a Spaceland sequel? I don't know. I think that would be really awesome, but I'm not going to hold out too much hope on that. But regardless, this UFO boss fight is pretty cool. You come to this area, which, oh my god, this area looks amazing. It's just like in the ocean, and somehow the water has kind of like pushed away from this little area. I don't really know what you would call that, but it's really awesome. You shoot this little ball in the sky. I guess you can call it like an anomaly or something, and then it splits up into 3 different anomalies, and you shoot all 3 of them enough, and then eventually it will just turn into the UFO, or the UFO will just spawn in and will attack you. And the UFO is so cool. It is so cool, man. This thing is just so amazing. You have to put a lot of damage into it and eventually destroy it, pick up the ball and put it into a portal, and you will get that challenge completed. It's definitely one of the better ones as well. It's just very hectic. A lot of players love going here. Every time I come here, there's always enemies here, and they're kind of ruining it just because, you know, that's how enemies are. So it's just kind of frustrating, but it's a fun boss fight. Then lastly, for the boss fights, we have the Butcher, which apparently this is from Diablo 4. I've never played that game before, but apparently it's something from that, and this is definitely the best one here. You have to do this little like ritual thing where you have to like press X on these different altars while zombies spawn, and you have to attack the zombies while they're, you're trying to wait for this thing to actually give you the portal. And when you go in the portal, I was so shocked by this. It actually brings you to a unique boss fight arena, which is so cool. The fact that they actually made a unique arena for this is like, I gotta just, clap my hands for Raven Software. I'm assuming Raven's the one who put all this together. It's awesome stuff. I just absolutely adored what we saw here. And it's definitely the funnest boss fight as well. He has a health bar and he does a lot of damage, but you have to just keep your distance. There's a bunch of zombies that spawn around you as well. And then you just kill them. It's a pretty simple one. It's not like it's that hard. It's just probably the most fun out of all of them, probably the coolest out of all of them. And then there's the Ghost Train. This is of course not a boss fight, but the Ghost Train is still like a little objective you can do, and it's really fun. You have to hop onto the train at a certain point, and you have to like go through the train to try to get to the front, and you have to pick up I think it's like a key at the front of the train, and that's all you have to do. But the problem is, through the train, there's a bunch of booby traps, there's claymores all over the place, and there's different like sentry guns, so you just have to slowly go through this really cool looking train. By the way, like the zombified version of this train is just amazing looking. And you get to the front, you can take the key, and you have completed this objective. And then of course the last one is the Evil Spirits, which is pretty simple. It's just there's 4 different areas around the map where you have to get jump scared. You have to get jump scared at Albagar Fortress, the terminal area with like the airport, and then there's 2 other areas around the map that you have to get jump scared. Pretty simple. Like, it's not anything too complicated. It's just eventually you'll probably get that anyways if you just play the game enough, but you probably want to go to those areas just so you can get the jump scares from opening up crates. The jump scares, all you gotta do is just open up crates and eventually you'll get the jump scares. They're very common. So yeah, that's all you got to do. Very easy stuff. This is an amazing update and I'm absolutely loving it. But one major problem with this update is the fact that they don't allow you to do it solo, and there of course is PvP enabled, which is so frustrating. I love PvP in DMZ. I've played DMZ not a lot, I'll admit that, but when I have played DMZ, the best elements of it is the PvP stuff. I would get bored if I was just going up against AI soldiers the whole time. I do like the PvP parts of it, and even if it's frustrating, I still do like that. But when you have all these really cool zombie events and zombie boss fights, I really just want to be able to do these in peace and just enjoy them myself and not have other people come up and ruin them, because that's not what I'm playing that mode for. So I would really have preferred if they had this as a solo mode, or if the mode itself was just only PvE and there was no PvP stuff, but you still can have other people in it. Or if maybe once you activated the boss fight, then nobody can kill you. So maybe they can kill you while you're like traveling to the boss area, but once you're actually in there, then you're safe and then you can't kill each other. That would have made more sense too. There's definitely solutions they could have had. I'm really like, it just doesn't make any sense, because I've been trying to play this for a while today, and it took me a lot longer just because I kept getting into situations where enemies came up and killed me, and that makes it harder. Sure, the boss fights themselves are not that hard, but I would rather the boss fights were harder and then you just had PvE only. Then you wouldn't have to deal with those annoying players, but the bosses would be harder, so it still would be a challenge. It's as simple as that, but I felt like they just didn't think about that and they just left it as is. So it's unfortunate, but it's still really fun. It's still worth playing. If you like DMZ, definitely hop in and play. If you like zombies, it's definitely worth playing. It's definitely a tease of what Modern Warfare Zombies is going to be like, except for, of course, Modern Warfare Zombies is going to be PvE only. Even though there's other players there, you're not going to be able to kill each other. So that is definitely a good thing in my opinion. So let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section below of this update. I'm not going to be talking about the other stuff in the update because, quite frankly, none of it's that crazy. They added some new like Halloween themed maps and multiplayer, but they're just existing maps we've already had with Embassy and El Asilo. There's some new blueprints, some new weapons, some new event stuff that you can unlock different, you can use like the soul skulls for different camos. It's cool stuff. I'm happy we have a lot of stuff in this, but nothing I really need to talk much about. They haven't added Zombie Royale or Vendetta just yet, but when they do add those, maybe I'll make a video on that. So I will see you guys all in the next one. Peace out.